Goes back to my dad. Kineg! What's these called?
This is an earring.
Bye, YouTube. I love you.
I've wanted to make this video for a really long time. Obviously, I'm not a YouTuber, I'm not a very public person at all, but I've wanted to make this video since Noah turned 2, or just before she turned 2, because I strongly believe that it's not spoken about enough. And typically, when you hear young people are pregnant, young women are pregnant, or just women are pregnant in general, 9 times out of 10, it's the happiest time of their life and they're so excited. And for me, it was the complete opposite of that. And I just wanted to touch on it because I want other people that are in the position I was to know that it's not just them. I felt so alone. Before I even get into what I'm going to talk about, I just want to explain that it is completely my own experiences. This is what I went through, and from what I've seen with friends and like family. So if your experience is different, then honestly I'm like happy for you. But yeah, I just wanted to make that clear. Most women don't actually know that 10% of women suffer from postnatal depression. So for me it's a little bit different. It wasn't so much focused solely on postnatal depression, it was perinatal depression. So that's throughout my pregnancy and after I had my daughter, I was very, very depressed. So I'm going to explain, like, in as much detail but as quickly as I can, my pregnancy and my experience with finding out I was pregnant, going through all 3 trimesters, and then actually having her. It was a couple of months after my 18th birthday that I found out I was pregnant. I had been with her dad at the time for 3 months and it wasn't expected at all, obviously it wasn't planned. I was on contraception, I was using the patch. I'd been having cramping for around a month and I'd gone to the doctors like once or twice to ask them what it was, and they basically said like it could be anything, you're probably just going to come on, or they didn't really give me much, to be honest. And I had taken some time off of work, and when I got back to work, I was hairdressing at the time and I was doing one of my regular clients' hair, and she was a nurse, so I was just talking to her generally, and she was asking me questions about my symptoms, and then she was like, did they make you do a test? And I was like, what test? And she was like, a pregnancy test. I was like, honey, period pains, not pregnant. And she was like, no, cramping is like one of the most common symptoms for pregnancy. And I was like, no, I'm not pregnant, I'm on the patch, like I'm due on any minute. And she was like, okay, well, if you're not pregnant and you're so sure, then just do a test, like rule it out. And I was like, I don't need to rule it out, I'm not pregnant, woman. And she went and brought me a pregnancy test. I was like, this woman is nuts, like what, why is she doing this? But anyway, I was so sure I wasn't pregnant that I went in the bathroom, did the test. I was standing in the bathroom, and when it came out positive, I cannot explain it, like my heart dropped to the floor. So that I don't want to go out of the bathroom like into the salon and share my business with the whole world. So I was trying to like run the second test under tap water to make it come out negative. Obviously it didn't work. So yeah, I've left the bathroom and said to them, okay, so it's positive. The nurse started sort of panicking, and she was like, oh, there's a high chance it could be ectopic because of the cramping that you've been experiencing, you should go to A&E. So I was like, okay, please, like give me a minute to like process what is going on. I called my partner and he didn't answer because he was at uni. So I called my mum and I was like, I've just done a pregnancy test and I'm pregnant. When I say like for other people, like me telling them this on that day, there was never thought for a second I was pregnant. So everyone was just like, what? My mum was like, no, you're not. I was like, I am. And then she laughed at me. And she was like, okay, don't panic. I know you overthink. Like, just get home, like get some sleep. We'll talk about it in the morning, like once you've had a night to think on it. I spoke to my partner and everything, and he said the same thing, just go to the hospital, see what they say. So I called my best friend and we went to A&E. Obviously I've done another test and they said, no, you're definitely pregnant, come back for a scan. I can't remember anything from that night other than being told you're definitely pregnant. But I remember waking up the next morning and just staring at the wall and crying my eyes out for hours. And I don't even know what I was crying for at that point. It was just a strange feeling. I just felt so numb and I just kept hoping and praying like this isn't real. But anyway, I went and done the scan. They said that nothing was wrong, everything was fine. From that point onwards, I feel like every other day, to be honest, every other 10 minutes, I wanted something different. I'd always said, you know, like when people are like, oh, if you ever got pregnant, what would you do? And I'm like, no, I couldn't have an abortion. Like, that's not me. It's not true. Like, the second I found out I was pregnant, my moral compass said no, but my head was saying it was the right thing to do. Like, I wasn't in a financially stable position. Like, I wasn't where I wanted to be in life. I'd only been with my dad for 3 months. Like, I didn't want kids. And that's all that kept going through my head. Those 3 things just on repeat. And I was just thinking, I was scared that if I had a termination, I would regret it. It felt like something that would eat away at me forever if I didn't keep the baby. But then on the other hand, it's like, do you really keep a baby just solely based on that, nothing to do with actually wanting a child? And I was stuck in that limbo for months until I finally did come to like a decision where I said, okay, I'm gonna keep the baby. But I had in the back of my mind, okay, you still have a little bit of time to change your mind. And it's so unhealthy. It's such a horrible thing to do to yourself, to leave yourself stuck in that place. And I did it for so long that it broke me down so much mentally. I wasn't me. Like, I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't want to go out. I didn't want anyone to talk to me about being pregnant. I hid the fact that I was pregnant from everyone. I never got to do that, like, you know, the announcement, and you tell people like, oh, I'm pregnant, and you get that whole like, oh, congratulations, and you have like something to look forward to and you plan it. I never had that. I didn't want anyone to know. I didn't want to be pregnant. I just wanted it to go away. It was always going to be my choice. It was me that was physically going to have a termination, and it was me that was going to physically have to have a baby and look after the babies. I spent so much time searching for someone to give me an answer that was always going to have to come from myself, that I wasted time that I could have spent focusing on trying to get out of that negative headspace that I was in. And the fact that every other day I wasn't having a baby, like I was going to have a termination, it made it very challenging to want to create a bond with the baby, because every other day I thought the baby wasn't going to see life. And I remember it got to a point where I was so back and forth with making the decision, and I was living with my nan at the time, and I didn't have like a registered GP service. So for me to have a termination, I would have had to pay. And then I felt very guilty that I was considering paying to get rid of my child. It just seemed really wrong. My stance on like abortion and termination has changed very much since I was pregnant at that age, but at the time it didn't sit right with me, and it made me feel like a bad person. It's something that no one ever speaks about. You never hear like, oh, when I was pregnant it was the hardest thing, like trying to decide, couldn't be happy. It's all I thought about 24/7 was, what am I going to do? And it didn't go away. It's a very serious thing, and it's very hard to go through, and I feel like people need to normalize speaking about it. It's not common to just find out you're pregnant, especially when it's unexpected, and just know what you're doing. When I was pregnant, my nan kind of said to me that she couldn't have like me and the baby there, which is fair enough. I obviously needed to find my own place, which isn't the easiest process. My relationship suffered a lot. Neither of us were in like the right mental headspace, and our relationship wasn't very strong at the time. So going through like both of us completely ignoring the fact that we were having a baby made everything really hard in terms of our relationship. Every fundamental aspect of having a child was falling apart from me. You want somewhere stable to live, I didn't have that. You want a stable relationship, I didn't have that. You want a stable income, a stable job, and I didn't have that, because where I was working, they done a lot of horrible things to try and get rid of me because they didn't want to pay maternity. So I had like a lot of stress coming from every aspect, and I used to think like, if this is what it's supposed to be, then why is everything falling apart? Like, why is everything that should be so stable the complete opposite of that? I never really spoke to anyone about how I was feeling. Like, my friends say that when I was pregnant I was very good at pretending I was fine. If you know me and you saw me when I was pregnant or spoke to me when I was pregnant, it probably would have come across like I was quite happy, and I really wasn't. Close friends and family know that like there was nothing that could have cheered me up at that time. I was genuinely just broken. I was a broken person. I was like a shell of myself. And when I finally moved out from my nan's, they moved me into like a really horrible flat, and I had the day that I moved out of that flat into a new flat, I went into labour. So I had just like got a new home. Things sort of felt like they were coming together. But then when I actually had her, do you know, like in films, it's this magical moment and you've just been through the most painful thing in the world, but then it's all fixed by this beautiful moment where they put your baby in your arms. They put her in my arms, and honest to God, I felt nothing at all. I just wanted someone to take her away from me. I wanted to be by myself. Literally just felt numb. But it was weird for me because I thought throughout my whole pregnancy that when I had her, it was all going to be fine. Like, regardless of how I felt then, when I had her, I was going to have this magical moment and everything was going to be fine. And it wasn't. The day that we were in the hospital, when everyone came to visit her, I was really tired. I'd been up for like 48 hours. And I remember just thinking, there's so many people here that love this baby, like, with everything. And I remember just feeling like, why do I not feel like that? This is my child. Like, I've carried her for 9 months. Why don't I feel like I have a connection to her? And I remember going home, and like, when all the dust settled, I remember all of my close family kind of taking it in turns to stay with me because my partner was at uni, and he was kind of back and forth. But I remember always wanting a break. Like, I wanted someone to take her, and I remember always thinking, like, everything that I'm feeling is not what I've seen, it's not what I've heard. Say I did like get a break and like, me and my partner went somewhere or something, I didn't miss having her. Everyone's always like, oh, I can't leave my baby, like, I miss my baby so much, and I never had that. And it made me feel like there was something wrong, so I didn't speak to anyone. I didn't want, it's weird because I had this constant fear of someone taking her away if I said how I felt, but I didn't have a connection to her. So it's strange to think that I was worried about something like that, even though I didn't actually feel much towards her. Like, I loved her, but not the way that I should have. I didn't speak to anyone for like a really long time. And when I went back to work, it was really difficult hours. So obviously I have like an 8-month-old baby, a new job, and I was very, very tired. I thought maybe I was anemic because of how I felt every day. Like, I just really groggy, I didn't want to do anything. So I went to the doctors, they done my bloods. My doctor basically said, okay, so you're not anemic, there's actually nothing wrong with your blood. So I started to get like a bit panicked. Like, I was like, wait, so what's wrong with me? Like, there's definitely something wrong. And he was like, no, you're right, there is something wrong. And he said that you have postnatal depression. And for the first time ever, I was honest about how I felt. He was actually really helpful. There was no judgment. He told me that he had referred me to a therapist. He offered me antidepressants, which I'm not a big fan of because of personal experience. But I did start doing therapy. Bearing in mind, when I was in secondary school, I did therapy and it didn't help at all. I had like a really negative experience with multiple therapists, so it was never really something for me. But I thought, okay, I need to do this for me and for my daughter because I need to be genuinely happy for her. And she gets nothing out of me pretending that I am okay when I'm not. So I done therapy. I attended like once a week for 2 months. And I spoke to the therapist about kind of how I'd been feeling. I think the thing that helped me the most was being diagnosed with it. For the first time ever, I had been made aware it was a normal thing. The way I trapped myself because of how I was feeling was so disgusting. Like, I hated myself, and it was very, very hard to keep up this facade of like being okay. And everyone always used to say to me, like, you're such a natural mum, your baby's so happy. And I remember thinking, like, why is this what everyone is seeing when I am literally dying inside? Like, I don't know why no one can see that I need help. And once I had been told like that it was a thing and that a lot of women go through it, I did my research into it, and I started thinking, okay, so it's not that it doesn't happen, it's that no one speaks about it. And when I realized that, I realized I want to be there for other people. I want other people to know that it's not this happy time in your, well, it is for most people, but it's not this beautiful magical time in your life when everything's fine and like a child brings you everything, because it wasn't that for me. And it's so hard for me to say that now because like Noah's my best friend, she's my life, I'm hers. But at the time, and for quite a long time, I didn't feel like her mum. She felt like a responsibility. It didn't feel like a relationship, and it didn't feel how everyone had always portrayed it to be to me. So it was such a constant back and forth with me that I just felt like I wanted someone to do it for me. My best friend at the time was a month ahead of me in pregnancy, so while I was watching like her and her partner and they would like post on social media and they were really happy, and like everyone was really happy for them. And I remember always thinking, that's what I need to mirror, like that's what I need to be, and that is what a good mum is, that is what a good family unit is, and that is what you should do. I just feel like it's so important to talk about how you're feeling when you are pregnant and when you've had a baby, especially if you are young. Now looking back on it, I wish that I could have just had the mentality where it's like, you're doing this, you're having a baby, whether you're doing it by yourself, whether you're doing it with loads of help, this is what you're going to do, and that baby needs to be loved, and that baby needs to feel a connection with you. Like, you need to build that now before the baby comes. Document it, like take pictures, do early scans, do 3D scans, do everything you possibly can before that baby is born to build a relationship, because it's so important. When I look back on my pregnancy now and the fact that if I have more children in the future, that is what I will do, but no one ever got that, it hurts me, because of what am I supposed to say to her? Like, what do I say to her when she asks me where her scan picture is and I have no idea, because it meant nothing to me at that time, whereas now it means the world to me. It's just not fair on her. Really hope that people can learn from my experience and just talk to people. If you're not comfortable talking to friends or family, or if you don't have like close friends, close family, talk to a professional. Like, they're not there to judge you, they're there to help. If you don't want to talk to a professional, talk to me. Like, reach out to people on social media. I'm so happy I had Noah when I had her, and I'm so happy that I've been through what I've been through, and I'm so happy that I have the relationship that I have with her now. I feel like I wouldn't be as good a mum I am if I didn't go through that. Don't get me wrong, I still have so many days where I feel so tired, so down, like I just want a break. But I've realized there's a difference between feeling tired and feeling depressed. They're very different things. All women, or all like couples that have newborn children or children in general, are gonna feel run down and tired. But not wanting to get out of bed, not wanting to shower, not wanting to talk to anyone, not wanting to be a mum is very different to being tired. And I feel like now that I've learned that, I can have bad days and I can have down days, because it's normal. I wouldn't be normal if I didn't feel that. In moving forward from how I felt and being in that bad place, I have come so far, but it's only through my friends and family helping me, recently being more open to discuss what I went through, and just researching and learning for myself what postnatal depression is and how you can grow from it. I believe that if I didn't ever acknowledge the fact that something was wrong, I would still feel how I felt. If I didn't go to the doctors and just by chance be diagnosed in that way, I wouldn't have spoken to anyone about it. And I think that's the sad thing, the fact that nobody feels like they should admit that they don't want to be a mum, or that they feel like a bad mum, or that they don't have a connection with their baby. It's a common thing. It's so scary for me to like talk about this, because it is so unspoken, and part of me doesn't really care because I know how strong I am as a mum now, and then a big part of me always is going to have that fear that people think I'm a bad mum, and I worry for like what people think of Noah. But she's a happy kid and I'm in a happier place now, and our family is so strong. But it took a lot to get here, and it took a lot for me to sit here and make this video without crying my eyes out like I did yesterday all day making it. But I'm here now, and you can only grow, like you can only get better. I would just say like the three main points are to focus on creating a bond with your baby when you're pregnant, making a choice as quickly as you can, and talking about how you feel. Don't close yourself off because you're scared of other people's opinions, because it doesn't matter. Like, there's no harm in communicating. My DMs are always open. Like, if you're going through it and you need help, I will always be there to talk, because I understand. But please, like, just even if it just helps one person, it would mean the world to me. Can you imagine though, like, if it's just me that's been through this? I always sit there and think that, like, if it is just me and no one else that goes through this, as in like the way I went through it, that is so embarrassing. And I'm really here trying to help people, but I don't know, we'll see.
Bye.
You gotta say bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Oh, what's that color called?
It's white.
Right. Bye guys, thank you for watching.